Sammy, something I wanted to speak to you about. So when Lige speaks about sort of like kind of going through a bad situation, we know that you had obviously a really unfortunate event happen to you in Turkey with a very, very severe earthquake. Are you comfortable like talking to us about that and kind of like making it through? Because I know like my condolences on your losses as well.
Appreciate that.
So if you wouldn't mind, like sort of give us your perspective on that and how you kind of made it through.
Yeah, it was crazy. You know, we had a game on it was on a Sunday, and we had 2 days free already because we played 3 games in the week. So the guys already booked their trip to go to Istanbul for the weekend, you know, relax, get away from the city because we're living in a place that's quite old, you know, so we wanted to go, you know, just eat sushi, for example, and stuff like that. And then I just remember getting back to the locker room after the game, and our flights were canceled because there was a snowstorm in Istanbul. The airport was shut down. So I said, we can all go back to my place. You know, Galatasaray is playing against Trabzonspor, a big game in Super League, you know. So we come back to my place. Because after games, no one can really sleep, you know. The adrenaline's still kicking in.
So the team?
Yeah. So it was like 4 or 5 guys, like my closest friends, you know. So we're watching the game. We ordered pizza. We played a bit of poker, and they stayed till about 3:30 in the morning. And then when they left, I just started packing away the table because it's, you know, pizza boxes, some beers on the table, things like that. And then that was about 15, 20 minutes, you know, threw it all in the kitchen, cleaned up the place, and then I was still kind of awake, so I saw there was some MLS games on because of the time difference. So I just put it on. I lit a candle, just, you know, didn't want the pizza smell in the house, you know. And then I just remember, like, sitting down and, like, my hands, like, the TV's on, MLS game is on, and I was like, my hands were, like, shaking. And I was like, yo, why are my hands shaking? I think am I having a panic attack or something? Like, I just couldn't understand it. And then it just started getting, like, more shakes, you know, just if you know, like those amusement park rides when it starts subtle and it starts rocking more and more. So it was like this over a 5-minute period. So after the handshakes, I just start hearing the door rattle, and I was like, damn, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting robbed, you know. I just hear the door rattling, or maybe 3 or 4 guys outside. I said, it is what it is. You know. And then I heard everything in the kitchen just fall down, all the plates, all the cups, and then the TV fell. And I was like, oh, damn, we're in an earthquake. And I wasn't really so, like, worried because I didn't think it was going to be as bad as what it was. You know, you never expect the worst with these kind of situations, you know. I mean, I've been in an earthquake before, but it's been really subtle, just 5 seconds. And then the candle fell off the table, and that's when I, like, just realized, well, like, the severity of it, because I have a carpet on the floor. I didn't want the house to catch on fire. And it, like, rolled under the couch, and so I was, like, moving back and forth, because at this point now it was like very sharp movements, like the whole building or my house, sorry. So I was able to find the candle, and I just came out and I see everyone outside. The roads are all cracked, and, you know, the roof is like slid over. Like, everyone is stressing. My friend, there's like 3 or 4 guys who live in like the complex where the houses are. So one guy sprints to my house, like, oh, what's going on? Just kind of like in shock, you know. And I was all right because it was crazy, but like, you know, I wasn't hurt or anything, so I was like, okay, I'm good, you know, like, the house is messed up, but, you know, where we were living was about 20, 30 minutes from the main center. We're, like, just on the outside of the city, so for us, it was bad, but it wasn't, like, you know, the worst case, you know. Obviously, everything in the house was just flipped over, but, you know, we were fine, you know, and I called Atiba Hutchinson, because I thought this was throughout the whole of Turkey, you know, so I called him.
He was in Istanbul.
He's in Istanbul, so I called him at, like, I think now it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was like, Atiba, yo, did you feel that? And he's like in his bed. He's like, yo, what are you talking about? I said, an earthquake. He's like, no, I didn't feel anything. I said, okay. And he's like, oh, you all right? I said, yeah, I'm good. Okay, I'll call you later. And then the cell towers went down, so the phone service went out. So I went back into my place with a flashlight. There's 2 levels like this, you know. I was like, just looking around and see everything on the ground. I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy. But I was living alone, so I didn't have so much in the house. I had a living room. Yeah. You know, I had like a couple of empty bedrooms. I wasn't using them. So it was just really like the living room, my dog like play area, and my bedroom. So that was all obviously all over the place. And then like the cell service came back, and I called. We have like translators who are like the organizers of the team. He's like, So I called and I said, bro, are you okay? Like, how are you and your family? He's like, oh, he was bawling on the phone. He was living in like a 10-story apartment building. The whole thing just came down, but he was able to get out because he was on the second floor, you know. And he has a daughter, 3 years old. His wife was pregnant, so he was like, and he just bought his place. And that was like it was the biggest thing for him and his family to buy his first, you know, when you're a family, you buy your first house. It's like, it's a big thing. And like, he was only been living in it for about 4 or 5 months. And the whole thing just came down. And he was just bawling on the phone. He said, okay, come to the training facility. Everyone's going to meet there. So I get in the car with some of the guys. I start driving to the facility. And then I started seeing just like the craziest things I could never imagine. Like, I come down, because we live in like a hillside. I come down the hill where the markets are. I start seeing like buildings on the ground, fires, just things you can't really explain, you know. It's like, it's easy to say, but to really like envision it is very difficult, you know. Just imagine a building just flat. I'm seeing like moms yelling, crying, fires, people just like in, not even crying, just like deep agony, you know, like people running around, yelling, looking for their loved ones, you know. And I'm driving through the city, and as I get closer and closer to the training ground, which is like right in the downtown of the city, it was just even worse. I'm on the highway. It's like a cracked open road. I can't go. I have to go back around and go on the opposite side of the road. It was just chaos. And when I got to the center, then it was just like, it was even more buildings, you know, just stacks of buildings just down. You know, I couldn't even drive. Normally it took me 20 minutes. It took me like 2 hours to get to the training ground, because it just, buildings are on the roads are broken, like everything is just chaos, you know. And I remember just like a young lady and her parents just like, you know, like waving at me, just banging on the car. I say, hey, I don't speak Turkish. They were like, just help yelling. Us, or? Yeah, just our family. I said, okay, get in the car, you know. And I didn't know I was driving them. They were just telling me here. And I took them to their house, and we were going up the hill, and it was just even more. And like, my friend got out of the car and started throwing up, because he was just so like panic attack. He was just so in shock, you know. And so boom, we did that. And I get to the training ground, and there's people there. And I started thinking, oh, okay, so where's this person, that person, you know? They said, oh, they're coming. They reached out, they're coming. I said, okay. So where's Atsu, or where's Lewis? There's Lewis coming. Where's Atsu? They say, oh, we didn't hear from him. And then they say to me, like, in the apartment building where he was living, there was about maybe 10, 11 staff, like players and staff in that building, and maybe 8 of them came, or 9 of them came. So it was Atsu and the sports director. Yeah. Oh, where are they? And at this point, everyone is with their families, looking out for themselves. It's normal, you know. People have babies, 6 months, 8 months, you know. So everyone is just in like panic, you know. Mm-hmm. And I was with my friend. I said, bro, I have to go look for him, because he's old. Like, who's looking for him? You know, people are, it's chaos, you know, no one knows where to turn. So I just remember like driving to like, trying to get to his apartment building with his friend. And then finally I get there, and I just saw like just the whole building down. And he was living in like a residence. So it's one big lower lobby with 3 towers, if that makes sense, you know? I just see all the towers flat, and people are just crying and yelling, and there's ambulance sirens, firefighter sirens, and I just got out the car, and I just went to the side of his building, and I'm just hearing like people yelling under the rubble, you know. And like, I almost regret going there, because that's what really like effed me up mentally. Just really like being on top of the rubble, like yelling for his name, and realizing like just realizing that like these are big cement buildings. You feel so like powerless, because you can't just pick up a cement roof, or you know what I mean? Yeah. And you're just hearing people yelling and crying, and just like, it was tough, man. It was really tough. Like, once I saw the place, I realized like, wow, there's nothing I can do. My family's calling me. My girl was worried, and I'm saying, oh, don't worry, I'm fine. I'll call you guys later when things settle down. Mm-hmm. And I just remember like just driving through the city, trying to like just help people, move around, give clothes, you know, things like that. And I was thinking to myself, I was just like, this place is finished, you know, like I don't, like, where do you even start? Because it was almost the entire city was collapsed, you know. And what people don't realize, where I was living was like it was a poorer side of Turkey, you know. It's not under civilized, but older buildings, older house. It's a very historic place, you know. It's not so modernized with 40 story apartments. It's very old, so it wasn't even stable to survive the earthquake. You know, like for example, the same earthquake, God forbid, happens in Calgary or Vancouver or wherever, it would never have that same damaging effect because buildings here are modern. They're built to be able to withstand to a certain magnitude, you know. But in an older city where the buildings are dating like 200, 300 years old, it's not, you know, they don't have the science or the information to be able to do this, you know. And so eventually, like, the team told us, like, oh, come to the training ground, we'll all stay there. And like throughout the day, every hour, half an hour, there was aftershocks, you know. And the training ground was fine because it was like it was quite a big building, so it was like stable. But I just remember every half an hour running in and out because like when you hear the shakes, you just panic. You run out, you know, and that starts to, maybe you don't feel it then, but it weighs on you like psychologically. Like I didn't sleep for like 2 weeks, you know. And then the coach told us, they'll say, okay, tomorrow we will drive to another city, it's about 3 hours away, called Adana. And the federation, the like Turkish Football Federation, like Canada Soccer, has arranged for a plane to take us to Istanbul. And I thought to myself, like, the season is finished. I'm never coming back here. Like, what can I do? I can't help. I'm not you know what I mean? I don't have any I can help with my hands, but I don't speak the language. You know, all I can do is just give what I have. You know what I mean? And so I said to myself, wow, like, I waited like 5 o'clock in the morning. We were going to leave at like 8 in the morning. I stayed in my car. I slept in my car that night. I waited till like just before sunrise. And I drove to my my house, and it was still a little bit dark. So I just turned the car. I just turned on my lights and just faced it towards my building. And I was just running in and out, taking what I can. You know, it was, and I'm lucky. Like people don't realize I'm very blessed because I was able to take maybe 70% of the things I had because I didn't have so much, and I was living alone.
And your dog was okay.
My dog was okay. My dog was in a dog hotel, so that was the first thing I called before I called Atiba. Okay. But he was even further away. It's like a bigger place where a lot of dogs are. So I knew they were fine. So I didn't have my dog until like the next morning, you know. So that morning I packed up my things. I was running in and out because I didn't know what was going to happen. If it was going to be another aftershock because it was, you know, constantly happening. And I just remember like running in, grabbing my shoes, throwing them in the car. Running in, grabbing like my family stuff, going in, just in and out, in and out. Then last, I finally grabbed my suitcases. On the street, I'm just throwing everything in, just throwing it all in, you know. So I was able to take a lot of the things I had, and then I went to go pick my dog from the dog place, and luckily everything was fine over there. And I just drove to the city while the team took a bus. I left my car for just someone to use to help just get around because some people stayed because they're from Hatay, like one of the
some teammates, you mean, or like some staff?
No, like staff members. Like I have translators.
They're local.
They're locals because a lot of people coming into the city to work, but the local people, they can't leave. They have to stay. They have families. Like one of the translators lost like 8 of his family relatives. Like, and it's one thing to see people cry and just be upset, but it's another thing to see just devastation in their face. You know, like uncontrollable emotions. And I felt so like helpless. I was almost embarrassed to leave the city because I knew there was like no chance I was coming back because what was I gonna, you know what I mean? All I could do was just help financially and give the things that I have. And I ended up getting on the plane, and I went to Atiba's house. Yeah. And his family welcomed me in. Like that's why Atiba will always have a special place in my heart because I've obviously known him since I was 19 with the national team, but he was always been my big older brother, so he's always been there for me, and his family took me in. But I didn't sleep for like 2-3 weeks. I was having like shakes. I couldn't I had to speak to a psychologist, and everything happened so fast because I ended up moving teams and things like that. But I think like for that rest of the season, like I didn't like mentally. You weren't yourself. Yeah, I didn't mentally recover. I went into like a big club, like started playing. You know what I mean? It was just like everything was just like much.